All right, John, you tossed me a bone. I think I'll bite. Um, I think that the metaphor that you've used here is really significant, and it is a great way of describing what um, what Hume's epistemology is like. We begin with the blank slate, and whether or not there are actual leaves out there in the world, things in themselves, is not a question Hume is going to answer for us. But what he will say is that by um, moving through life and experiencing it, we can come to know the outlines of things, the appearances of things, just like you're able to rub um, the outline and texture of the leaf onto your formerly blank slate. Now, the reason I would say metaphysics are important is we've got to be able to ask the question, what's on the other side of the paper? You know, yeah, after I've rubbed the crown on top of the paper with the leaf underneath, I've seen sort of the trace of the leaf, an indication of the leaf. And if I don't continue to ask, well, where and what is this leaf itself, I'm sort of begging the question because, from my point of view, the reason I think metaphysics are important is that we've got to ask this question: what is behind the piece of paper? What are we tracing? What is it that we are knowing? Um, and Plato had this concept of anamnesis, which basically means um, this process of remembering, such that when we come to know something, it's not that it was really new in every sense imaginable, but in fact was um, what we experienced merely provoked the memory of something we already had, the memory of an idea which exists a priori, which is in a sense eternal and was there from the beginning. So coming to know the leaf is a process of remembering our uh, knowledge of the leaf prior to our descent into time, and that somehow our subjectivity, our mental capacities are a spark of this eternal realm in the phenomenal realm, and so we're allowed, we're given the capability of coming to know ideas. Now, I wouldn't want to reserve this spark for only human beings. I think it is present in all beings, and a being is defined as any relatively autonomous body. So there is a process of remembrance that goes on that allows us to know the world, though without the experience of the thing to be remembered, we would not know the thing. Um, and this is one example of a metaphysical solution to the problem of how we come to know things in themselves that we apparently didn't know beforehand. Because if we really knew nothing about anything and then tried to know it, we wouldn't even know where to begin. So the idea of anamnesis is that we know where to begin because learning something new is a process of um, re-evoking a memory. It's a process of remembrance. Um, there are other, metaphysical solutions to this problem that we can all think of, I think. But the only point I want to make is that we've got to answer the question of what lies behind the paper. What are the things themselves? That is an essential philosophical question, and um, I seem to be hearing Pyrrho saying that we can't ask it. Whereas I would say the things are there for us to experience, and so are the ideas. Um, that there's not an essential separation between the ideal and the real. Um, obviously we distinguish between the two, but um, they only arise together. I know factual states of affairs in the world of my experience only because of the relationship of that factual state of affairs to certain ideas and certain a priori relationships that hold between those ideas. There is no knowledge without that uh, mental structure in relation to the factual sensory structure that I perceive in the phenomenal world. So, um, I also think that Piro and I can agree on quite a bit, and I'm not convinced we're disagreeing about this either. It's just a matter of finding a way of wording it that we both um, find acceptable. But yeah, thanks for your video, John, and let me know what you think, um, and we'll go from there. Piro too, if you happen to catch this video, let me know where it took you. Take it easy.